if you're watching this, there's a good chance you're hurting. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, heavy way where you keep going, but something inside you feels tired. This video isn't about blaming anyone, it's not about bashing men or women, and it's definitely not about pretending love is easy. This is a truth. This is about the truth. The kind of truth you usually learn after loving someone deeply and losing yourself in the process. And I'm speaking from experience, from mistakes, from staying too long, from caring more than I should have, from loving someone even when it's costing me my peace. So if you've ever felt confused in a relationship, if you ever loved someone who couldn't love you back the same, if you ever felt like you were giving your all and still questioning your worth, this is for you. And, you know, so how do we lose ourselves in relationships? One of the hardest truths to accept is this: love doesn't usually fall apart all at once, it erodes slowly. It starts with small compromises. You ignore a comment that hurt you, you brush off a boundary that got crossed, you tell yourself it's not that big of a deal, but it is. Because every time you silence yourself to keep the peace, you teach yourself that your needs matter less. And eventually you wake up one day feeling anxious, confused, and emotionally exhausted, and wondering how you got here. The truth is, many of us weren't taught how to love in a healthy way. We were taught how to survive relationships, not build them. So we confuse love with over explaining, over giving, over forgiving, overstaying. We think love means enduring pain, but love was never meant to cost you your identity. One of my biggest lessons was realizing this: just because someone needs you doesn't mean they deserve access to your heart. I cared deeply, and because I cared, I ignored red flags. I justified behaviors that didn't align with my values. I stayed loyal to potential instead of reality, and that's dangerous because potential can keep you stuck for years. Love without boundaries isn't love, it's self-abandonment. And and letting go isn't hard because you don't know what's wrong. Letting go is hard because you remember what could be. You remember the good moments, the laughter, the closeness, the version of them you hoped they would become. But healing begins when you accept this truth. You can love someone and still need to walk away. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you self aware. One of the hardest things I had to face was understanding attachment. Attachment makes you ignore your intuition, stay in emotional limbo, accept inconsistency, feel anxious instead of safe. Healthy love feels secure. You're not guessing where you stand. You're not constantly trying to prove your worth. If somebody truly values you, you don't chase clarity. Another truth people don't talk about enough: sometimes people keep you close because you make their life easier, not because they want to build with you, and that hurts. That hurts to accept, but clarity hurts less than confusion over time. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop hurting yourself for someone else's comfort. And yes, it feels lonely at first, but loneliness with peace is better than togetherness with chaos. And I had to accept that. And in these recent past few months, because healing doesn't happen overnight. Some days you feel strong, other days you replay conversations in your head. You wonder if you did too much or not enough. But let me tell you something important. If you love genuinely, you did your part. Healing begins when you stop trying to understand by someone who never listened. This season of your life isn't about rebuilding trust, not with others, but with yourself. That means listening to your gut, honoring your boundaries, walking away when peace is compromised, choosing consistency over chemistry. Choosing yourself doesn't mean becoming cold, it means becoming wise. You can still be kind, you can still love deeply, but now you love with discernment. And eventually you'll notice something shift. You won't crave chaos anymore. You won't beg for reassurance. You won't feel guilty for protecting your heart. You'll realize you didn't lose love. You made room for a healthier one. If you're watching this and you're in the middle of letting go, I want you to know this: you're not broken, you're not behind, and you're not too much. You're healing, and that takes courage. And if this video resonated with you, that means you're becoming more aware. And awareness is the beginning of freedom. You don't need to rush healing. You don't need to prove strength. You just need to keep choosing peace, one decision at a time. If you're walking this journey alone, know this: you are not alone, and the version of you that's emerging is calmer, stronger, and more grounded than the one who entered that relationship. And just thank you for being here. And a part of that healing process comes from like when you tend to heal, and I've learned this in the past couple of days. Uh, you're going to get somebody's going to try to attack your growth and and what you're trying to become, and they do this in various of ways, and sometimes it comes from the people you felt like were the closest to you. And how I was being attacked was, by my past, right? A lot of people will evil, there's demons out there that will put your past in your face, and that should tell you all you need to know about somebody, right? If somebody really truly cares about you, really truly loves you, and wants the best with you, they would be with you during your growth, right? But if they're constantly attacking the character that you were, a few months ago or a year ago, then maybe those people they're not right for you to be around. And I had to accept that truth as well. Was it a hard one? Yes, because it's like you spent so much time and so much energy with this individual, and for them to, you can tell them your deepest, darkest secrets, and they're going to rub that right back into your face. And, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just you. It could be your family members. It could be, your friends. It could be anybody. But the fact that they're intentionally trying to hurt you by bringing up your past, trying to stunt your growth, that's evil, and you shouldn't surround yourself with things like that or hear stuff like that, because, for me, maybe for a couple hours or maybe all day yesterday, I was stuck in, I was feeling distant. I was feeling like I was my old self. I was, feeling just not okay on the inside. And it's because it's like, man, like I keep thinking, like, if this person really truly cared, if this person really truly loved, and the time that y'all spent together was actually worth something, this wouldn't be an occurrence, and that's what made me want to talk about this topic, because everything that I kind of went over is kind of what I'm dealing with, and it can be both external and internal. And when I say that, I'm saying that in the sense of, you know, I know there was a point in time where I wasn't the nicest person to be around, or I was, neglectful, and, because I was, right. But it was never intentional. It was never because I just don't like people. No, it was because I was just hiding everything, and I was trying to mask it through distractions, whether that was comfort with people or whether that was comfort, playing my video games. And but deep down inside, I've always cared. I've always loved. I've always had the image of knowing what I wanted, but I was so stuck in this trance where I didn't know how to get there. So it was hard for me to accept. It was hard for me to invite people into my world or into my life or into my heart. Um, I had this ex, and you know, she used to always rub my past in my face. This was years ago. Um, she would say just hurtful things because she was upset, and that made me more. That made me not want to tell people certain things, right? Like certain, not want to say secrets, but just things that I just keep to myself. Things that I know that will hurt me if it comes back to me. So I stop myself from being vulnerable towards people, because when I'm vulnerable, you get called names, you get called all these different things, right? And I remember, telling myself I would never ever be that vulnerable with somebody ever again. And and I that stuck with me for a very long time. And I had to learn how to kind of just be okay with that. Even though some people that come into my life don't deserve that. But I mean, I've always said this, like, if I know this person's gonna be the person I marry, there there's nothing that I'm gonna like keep from this person. There's nothing that I'm gonna be afraid of saying or asking or anything, because I know that that person's really going to value the love that we have no matter what, right? And I do believe love is like that. I think love is choosing even during hard times, right? Like nothing's ever perfect, but sometimes when it's that person that you love, that period of just not having that connection or that spark, like you push through it. You get better, you understand, you communicate, and I think nowadays that's so forgotten because of distractions, right? We're all distracted by something, and we have trouble regulating our emotions and understanding them because we have something in our face to help us escape, and I just encourage everybody to like spend 2 2 3 days, right? Get rid of your social media apps, really sit by yourself and just be in your thoughts, and you'll be surprised at, like, one, how much peaceful it is, and two, to know, like, man, this is how I really feel. A lot of people, they see these posts, and these posts is telling them how they should feel, right? Oh, you should be with somebody who is this, somebody who is that. Well, everybody's life is different, you know. But at the end of the day, when you are, love isn't a feeling, right? And I learned this a long time ago. Um, love isn't a feeling. Love is a choice, right? Because that feeling of love is gonna go away, right? Eventually, right? It might go away 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, but you still choosing to love that person will be up to you. Um, just think about it. We go through different emotions every single day. So if we're claiming that love is just this emotion that we feel, and it's gonna pass, you're gonna meet somebody new, somebody who you might question, like, oh well, you know, and that's tough because um, we live in such a time where we know so much people. Um, I remember, you know, everywhere I worked at, of course, it's so easy to like to get to get the attention of somebody else, right? Because you work so much with this person, you build a bond, a connection with this person because you're with this person so often, right? And but it's like, and so it's easy to get lost and distracted by that, because that person can take you away from your family, can take you away from who you are. I mean, there's just so much different variables that play into that, and um, that's kind of the season that I'm dealing with now. So, but at the end of it, you make your own choices, your own decision. But if you are dealing with you know um, heartbreak, or you're dealing with somebody who just doesn't value you anymore, then you should walk away, and you should do it with I'm not gonna say joy, but you should do it knowing that, like, okay, this person, they didn't choose me this time. That's okay, because eventually you will meet somebody who will choose you, who will never give up on you, who will never, you know. But again, you will have times that it will be rough, it will be hard, it will be unbearable. You might feel all these different emotions, but you have a choice, right? You can say, is this person worth it, and do we work through this, or do you say, I'm just going to go on my own and do what I need to do for my own health? No choice is the wrong choice, right? Because at the end of it, like, each direction is going to have its different path, you know, and you need to be okay with whatever path that you choose. And for me, right now, the path that I'm walking is a very lonely path. I don't really talk to anybody. I don't care to really talk to anybody right now. You know, I care about building my relationship with God. I care about reading the Bible. I care about going to church, you know, because I do think 2026 is going to be my best year. And I think it's going to be better going forward. I think that, you know, my goals, my plans, um, this year being such a rough year, just by clarity and you know, cutting off certain relationships and things like that. Like now, I'm able to, like, you know, think clearly and feel, you know, emotions and talk about it, and I don't even care if I get judged anymore. You know, like, it's not about that. But I know that there's gonna be that one person that's gonna understand and be like, I'm going through the same thing, and that's the one person that I want to reach out to. You know, because a lot of us, we stay hidden. A lot of us don't talk. I was one of them. You know, I had somebody tell me the other day, like, you're the only person on this planet that doesn't talk about their feelings. Well, that's not true, right? Because I pick and choose who I tell my feelings to. And I think I've made the right decisions thus far, you know, because when people get mad at you, when people get angry, they tend to rub that stuff right back into your face, right? That's not somebody I would want to confide information to. That's not somebody that I can trust, someone that I can, you know, value my information or even my time with, like, because the most, for me at least, the most evil thing that you can do to somebody that you claim to love is want to hurt them intentionally, right? And when I believe when you bring up somebody's past and you bring up somebody's, you know, the stuff that they struggled with for a long time, you know, you don't value that person no more. You don't care about that person no more. You know, if those words can slip so easily out your mouth, then it's like, damn, I really told this person everything. And now it's biting me in the butt. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. So, and just this past weekend just kind of made me realize that I wasn't going to make a video today, but, you know, it's been kind of weighing on me so much. I've been feeling anxious and just been feeling so much different emotions because, you know, of what I'm going through. And, you know, it's definitely going to get better. You know, I think that this next season of my life is going to be very joyful, very pleasant. I think, you know, just not being around certain people that will drain the energy from you and, you know, like, you know, and stop you from growing and stunting your health, you know, and that's what I feel like. I feel like it's just this tornado, you know. But so that encouraged me to make this video because it's you know, I have to keep my faith strong. I have to stay grounded. I have to, you know, I have to let the emotions flow. I have to I have to be okay and sit in it and not try to suppress it, you know, because I've done that for years. So I guess me making these videos, sharing this information with you guys is more for one, to for it to resonate to the right people, and two, because, you know, I used to be one to not share anything with anybody. Now I'm sharing it with everybody, you know. So, but I do have some good news actually. Um, I am currently, let me see, I currently have 46 subscribers. So I've made videos now for maybe 2 weeks. I know that's small, but it's something, right? And I'm appreciative of it. I hope that if no matter what you're going through, no matter, you know, if it's addiction, if it's, you know, a broken relationship or loneliness, you know, I hope that you guys can really find the courage to, you know, talk to somebody, reach out to somebody, Make, change some things, whether it's hard, even if it's hard, even if it's a thing that is just killing you, like for me, it was video games, video games was my passion. Anybody can tell you that, like, I spent hours, days on video games. I was good at it too, you know, but I knew that it was distracting me. I knew that it was, you know, causing me to, have time away from my kids. It was definitely it wasn't even a struggle to let go, but it was something that was like, dang, I can't believe I really don't play video games anymore. Um, and so even if that's something you do is like, distract your own feelings, you should definitely um, try giving it up for a little bit, read a book, study, pray, you know, um, read the Bible. And if you don't do any of those things, just journal your things, journal your thoughts and your feelings. I've been doing that as well. Every day, I have four things that I write down, and the first one is what are my feelings, and it's like three feelings max. What is weighing me down, and I write, like whatever it is that day, or whatever I'm feeling in that moment is, kind of weighing me down. And then I will put what I need right now. So I write down what I think I need. And then the last thing is a prayer or a reflection. And it's helped me a lot because, our thoughts run in constant at nighttime. So I, so yeah, I mean, I would just do that, whatever you choose to do, do something different. Put what your addiction is, put what your thoughts are, your feelings, what's weighing you down, even if it's the truth. Well, it has to be the truth. That's the thing. Like, a lot of us tend to cover up and make excuses for, things, but, do that. Um, and one other thing, too, that I would say, if you are in a in the process of healing, if you're in that stage or you're beginning that stage, I want to say this: don't look for distractions, and that can come in many ways. It can come from your friends. It can come from people you work with. It can come from you being on your phone all the time, right? Those are constant distractions. Those are suppressing and but if you have friends that you can talk to, that that they help you out, and they are helping you through your journey, for sure, right? But if these people are bringing out the worst in you, or they're causing you to think the way that they think, and all these different things, like, that's just, I had somebody tell me one time, "Oh, you fumbled me." Like, I know you don't talk like that. You know what I mean? Like, obviously somebody's in your ear telling you that. You know what I mean? And of course, if you're a woman, right, you have, there's men out there they will be your best friend, you know, um, and they will play that role because they know what you're going through. I used to be one of them, right? Like, I would, be there comforting, be there to, talk to, and and they can put you on that hook, and then you feel so attached, and then these people, they treat you the worst, so just be mindful of that. I know that our brain and our body wants comfort and something that feels like familiar, but really sit through your emotions, sit through how you're feeling, and really just, kind of marinate in your thoughts and grieve however you feel like you need to grieve. If you need to cry, cry, let it out. There's nothing wrong with that. But just know that there's nothing wrong with you. It's, we're all human. We all go through these emotions. But really look at, pray, have that time with God, and, dedicate yourself to it. This is the last video I'll be making for this year. Haha. Hopefully this helped you guys. If I went too fast, let me know. I don't know. I'm just kind of, yeah, just let me know. But you guys have a good rest of your year. Hopefully next year is your year, which it will be. Be positive. Your year's coming up. And, be consistent, be strong, and, listen to your gut, listen to your health, listen to your, discernment. All right, guys, you have a good one.